And welcome back to Prop by the Bar. We're actually at Chris's new studio, so congrats on the new digs, Chris. And over the coming months, we'll have a bit of fun with some green walls and whatnot in the studio. But feel like we're at the news desk.
It's like it's Quasi anchormen that got stuck in a bunker. No, congratulations, Chris. It's good to have your own studio. It's fantastic. Hopefully you can afford the green wall soon. Yeah. But
anyway, there's plenty to get through. We've got a couple of great little segments coming up. We've got David Flood, who will come in and talk to us everything financial and lending.
He's a very knowledgeable man.
And then we're going to go out on the road and check out a new venue in Geelong. So, well, it's the Golf Institute, and I was blown away by that new facility. So
it's a new segment we're doing on the show. We're going to introduce new businesses around Geelong every time we have an episode. So our first one is the Golf Institute in Grovedale, which was a great thing to go out and have a look at. And so we hope people look at these businesses and give them a try as well.
But anyway, market wrap, lots to get through.
Yeah, there's been heaps going on between episodes, which is great.
Yep.
It's always good to have something to talk about. But, you know, there's heaps going on. We've got really some of the big announcements from the government with regard to things like rent cap. Rent caps in the market and how that's pushing out investors in some respects.
So it's a Greens-driven initiative?
Yeah, it was Greens that come up with it. Now I think Andrews is putting it up, isn't he?
Yep. And well, he said it's not off the table. So
yeah,
this is where they're talking about residential property.
Yep.
Basically, you can't increase the rent for 2 years.
That's correct.
For 2 years.
Even though the the Residential Tenancies Act says you can only sign a lease for 1 year, you can't change it for 2.
Yeah. So what's that going to do to the market?
Well, it's going to lock in your rent. So you can't buy a property and expect to put the rent up now. You're going to have to go with, they're going to lock into something like CPI or set increases over time. I think it's going to mean that landlords will move tenants on more often.
Well, it'll either be that, they'll pull the pin on residential investment. You've got a problem where if you've got people moving away from residential investment and you've got a shortage of
It flies housing, in the face of everything we need to do for housing.
I think it's dumb.
It's the stupidest thing I've come up with. But, you know, it's what's there. It goes along with windfall tax and land tax threshold changes and everything else they've tried to do this year. It is war by the taxman in Victoria against property owners, and it's going to have an impact on how much housing is available to people on the ground floor. And for someone who's involved in charities, of homelessness charities, I think this is just flies in the face of everything everybody's trying to do, which is to create more housing, not less, and more security around housing, not less. And I think this does the opposite. Yep. Commonwealth Games announcement. We lost it.
Yeah.
Who thought?
What do I think? I think I personally think it's an embarrassment.
Absolutely, it's an embarrassment.
You can dress it up how you want, but you know, whether you believe the numbers or whatever, but to commit to it, we still don't know what the exit cost is. They still haven't negotiated. Well, talks of over $1 billion.
There's lots of people in Geelong who left good jobs to go and work in the authority that was set up in Geelong. Those people are out of jobs. You know, really high successful people that have been left high and dry on this, which is just not fair.
Yeah.
You've got they were going to have 7 different events in Geelong that were going to draw a share of 400,000 visitors to the region. And that's not going to happen now.
Yeah, and you know, I know they said they're still going to build the infrastructure, but
will they?
It's exactly right. Can we trust that?
Can't trust anything they say now.
And what standard will they be built to as well? So, I think it's a huge pity. It's a huge embarrassment on a world scale. I don't know what our chances are of getting a major event in Victoria.
No.
Post this. So
I think the state government has really dropped ball for Geelong at the moment. I think a couple of these things are just playing into a harder and harder place. But there is some good news in amongst all that. We've got an announcement for the successful tender for the convention centre.
Looks good.
I actually like it, yeah.
Yeah.
You like it?
I did actually like it. It's it's part of the city deal.
Yep.
We're talking a number of different areas, a 1,000-seat venue, 2 large exhibition spaces, meeting rooms, conference facilities, hotels.
I like the fact that Crown won the tender, because then there's half a chance we might get a casino down here. What do you reckon?
that one wouldn't be good.
I got kicked out of the Salador. How am I going to get kicked out of the casino?
No, but like with some of this stuff, we've just got to get on with it and build it now. Like how long have we been talking about the convention centre?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a game changer, and especially with the hotels. We need hotels, so it's just get on and build it. It's going to be great.
Yep.
It's a lot of money, but it's good. It's been tipped in here. You've got another great announcement, the Land 400 project, which is just huge for the area. Land 400 is the to build the Hanwha, to build the small tanks for the army, I think that they're called, fighting vehicles or something, and they've got to build 129 of them. But what I hear is that 129 investment by the federal government was going to be 400, now 129 I think, but that creates the infrastructure, right? And then hopefully we're going to get, that infrastructure is going to get tapped into by lots of other external governments from around the world, such as Korea and other places, who will build other products for Hanwha out of there, or maybe even the same product. And be able to export around the world. So we might have the start of a defence industry in Geelong. It could be something great for Geelong. It could be
something
massive.
great. Yeah. So, and there's been a number of new initiatives and startups, and we've seen how we've really rebounded in the manufacturing space too. So it's another
You've got
great thing.
Billions of dollars being invested in Geelong, and it makes the mickey out of 600 million for Commonwealth Games, doesn't it? But I tell you, it's a great investment. We're going to have industries that'll jump on the back of this, and I think one of the biggest challenges now for the government is opening up more industrial land. You have to open now. You've got this investment coming to Geelong. We need more industrial land. Industrial land just keeps going up and up and up because we've got a lack of supply. We've got an opportunity now with the Land 400 project to open up land.
It's all that GREP area, isn't it? They really need to start developing that into...
We need more.
Yeah.
We're almost out of land in GREP. We need more. We need all that land up towards Lara there, north of Grammar and all those sort of areas around there. The council needs to have a really strong look at those areas and go, look, what's the highest and best use? That's got to come into some industrial rezoning.
Yeah, I agree.
Has to happen. The value of land of industrial land just keeps going up because there's no supply.
Well, talking about the value of it, there's been a couple of great sales.
It has.
Over the last couple of weeks. So.
And you are responsible for this one. This is a bit of a market leading one. Separation Street, North Geelong. Tell us about that.
Well, despite what you think, I do some work sometimes.
I wasn't sure.
It's 52, 56 Separation Street. Now, look, in terms of the quality of this facility, is one of the best that I've seen. The offices were outstanding. It's been sold vacant. Can't disclose the price, but
circa 5 million.
Yeah, five plus. Which in terms of pricing, and I'm not sure what that is rate wise, but it's probably I would say would be a North Geelong record.
It is a North Geelong record. It's right up there. So it's congratulations on the sale, break another record. But and to sell such a shed, but it just shows you how much demand there are for big sheds with decent offices, and that's whenever they come on the market, they're being snapped up.
Well, everything that's been developed the last 5-6 years has been the small factoriettes, which that's been the bread and butter of that industry. But
it's the big sheds now that are leading the way. The big sheds are leading the way. Another one sold, I think it was Collier's, off the market, Barwon Tce, South Geelong.
Yep.
8.7 million. 8.7 million. I think that was only a 2-hectare site. It's mad. That's just crazy money. But a good shed again. Another good shed. A couple of thousand square metres. Big site. It's a big money.
What do you see in other sectors commercially?
Retail, well, across everything, rental growth. Rental growth. That's really quite strong. That's what's coming out everywhere. It's coming out in retail, in the good stuff. So we've got there's been some great retail rents in Pakenham Street being signed up. There's been some good rates in High Street being signed up. So that good quality retail is still killing it. Highton Village, good quality retail. But then you've got this secondary retail market, which is almost going the other way. And that's that inner CBD stuff around Murrell Street and stuff like that. Those rents just aren't getting there. And you get, they just not seem to be moving a hell of a lot. So you've got two stories going on with that retail, that strong, A-grade retail and that B-grade retail that's just doing different things. You've got the office market, it's still soft. You still got people, I don't know, I think people still wait and see on office right across the country. But A-grade, you're still getting A-grade rentals coming coming through.
That office occupancy in terms of return to work in Victoria is lagging behind the rest of the country. So
yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Like we're so far behind. But has that got to do with the fact that the government hasn't enforced it? I mean, one of the things we had going on in Geelong was a little bit of a slight resurgence with A-grade tenancies. Because we had people like the Commonwealth Games headquarters signing up a big space there in Broome Street and a few other things like that. But now with the Games pulling out, we lose those again. So those big spaces come back on the market. So it's going to be interesting. We've got a major bank, a national bank, moving to the federal outside of the CBD. So we've still got this thing where we've got big employers moving out of the CBD, not into the CBD. I think that's a shame. To see that, but you know it's still happening. Development sites, soft.
Well, you know, we're on pause for 3 years while the government wanted to decide what they want to do with heights.
Yep.
And now that they've released it, they're releasing it in a market where things don't stack.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you know
tough.
the cost of land, the cost of funds, and the cost to build just don't make them viable at the moment. So that's why we're seeing development be soft.
There's still plenty of development going on. The green estate development stuff is soft as well because you've got some developers renegotiating old contract prices, you know, dropping the price by 40 grand, 30 grand in sometimes to settle some of these properties.
Yeah.
You know, builders still really hard to find. Construction prices still really high. So I think right across the market, it's a very different story from market segment to market segment.
Yeah. Resi
seems to be going all right in some areas, but what I am going to say, and I'm going to put some of your mates on notice.
Mates?
Yeah, dead set. I'm sick of it. I'll tell you why, Mike. I am starting to see lazy agent everywhere. Lazy agents. We're starting to see, and I'm put this on all you agents out there. There's plenty of my friends who are agents, and I have pure respect for the profession.
We're friends.
We're friends. But what I don't like seeing is two sales in the same street, you know, 3 or 4 months apart, where they're identical the same property, and they're selling for $300,000 or $400,000 less between one to the other. And the reason being is because one of them's taken their property to the market for 3 or 4 weeks, and the other one held out, did the right thing by the vendor, kept the property on the market for 6 to 8 weeks, changed the campaign, worked hard, and sold it for $300,000 or $400,000 more at what it should have been sold at. And what I talk of is 2 properties in Isabella Street. One sold for 1.2, one sold for 960,000. 3 months apart. Identical properties. In fact, the one that sold for less was on 960 square metres of land as opposed to the one that was on 720 square metres of land and made 1.2 million. Now, if you ask me, that's lazy agent syndrome. And
You're going to name and shame? No,
I'm not. But what people need to understand is that we're in a cycle of the market where a lot of agents have been used to high volumes, haven't they? High commissions and high volumes.
And I think too, and this is where...
And are they getting desperate, Mike?
Yeah, potentially. Look, you know, I think the last couple of years, there would be no secret that were agents' best years. You know, you could see the writing's on the wall in terms of what was going to happen. There's been a lot of young agents that have come in and only know the market one way.
Yeah.
All right. So when the market actually gets a little bit of grit on it, and you need to, that's where experienced agents earn their dollars. So I guess, you know, people can get really fixated.
I've experienced this in myself when I've sold property. At the last GFC, I'd sold property, and I also sold property in about 2018 when there was a bit of a change in the market conditions. And I was very lucky at the time to be working with experienced agents who told me, wait, don't take the first offer, you know, put the property on market properly, get it out there, explore all the marketing, use a full marketing budget, do the job properly. Now, as opposed to seeing what we're seeing in some instances, sales very quickly, off market or whatever they happen to be, well below what they need to be. There is no rush. This market, in residential market, hasn't in Geelong, hasn't fallen back.
And we're not seeing a distressed market, so there's no excuse.
There's no need.
Yeah.
No, there's no need yet. And I think that this panic to sell and this rush to sell on some people's behalf, you just take a step back, you know, have a look around, take the time to look at the sales yourself, see what's sold yourself. Don't just believe what's being told to you, because there's multiple instances lately of this happening, and I'm putting it out there, Mike.
You can tell me off camera after.
You wouldn't hire him, don't worry.
What else we got?
Well, that's about me. I'm about done.
That's right. Shall we get on to this interview?
Yeah, let's
All
go
right.
see Dave.
Let's go and have a chat, Dave. It's that time of the episode where we interview our guest for the month, and we're lucky enough to be joined by David Flood here, who is recently joined Ross McLaughlin at the team at MCP Financial Services after a history of about 22 years with NAB Bank and the Aggie business as well.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd get David in to enlighten us with some of the issues around some of the lending and what we feel is happening with these interest rates at the moment, being pretty topical. So anyway, thanks for joining us on Prop.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I've been waiting for the invite for a while from Gareth, so it's great to finally be here.
It's timing, mate. It's timing because there's so much going on, and why we wanted to have you on now. We only sort of came up with this a week ago when he called you because the rate. Everybody's saying we're at the peak.
Yes.
4.32% cap rate at the moment. Is that where we're at? Where are we at?
4.1.
4.1. Sorry, getting ahead of myself. Is there any more to come?
Come on, Albo.
Is there any more to come? There might be one. So we're at the peak, and I think the conversation really needs to change from how high to how long. So how long are we going to beat this elevated level for is really the next question.
Well, it's going to depend on the US inflation's results that come out this evening, isn't it? And a bit on what happens in the Japanese results, which come out this evening as well. So that's going to tell us what's going internationally.
Yes.
But nationally, we came back by a full 1% from 7 to 6% over the last quarter. Is it enough to keep it?
Well, it's not enough because if you read the RBA statement, they're still concerned about the employment rate being so strong. And is there productivity left within that employment rate? If you look at CPI and specifically the services,
but isn't this self-perpetuating? Because you've got governments with tunnel projects and stuff like this that are just barrelling tons of money into government projects, which is robbing employees from other markets, from developed, even construction market, right? That's still really hard to get labour, and because they're paying $300,000 a year to go push a shovel in the tunnel. Yeah.
So you're talking about one particular segment of the economy, not the whole economy, right? If you take a step back, anecdotally, what we're seeing is there is still productivity gains within employment. So what that means is, say you've got 5 employees. 5 of them can work harder and you can still produce the same amount or more without having to increase your price. So we feel there's more productivity left rather than if it was, I had 5, they were all working at 99% and I will have to employ someone to keep growing.
Oh, I had 10, but half of them hybrid working and I had, and so that cut my productivity and now we can get rid of hybrid working. That's got to increase productivity, doesn't it?
Yeah, but bringing it back to services, which is still driving it, is really...
Did you have any hybrid workers, Mike?
Yeah, we did during COVID.
What about the banking sector?
During COVID.
There's still a lot of hybrid working going on.
Yeah, so you've seen, customer facing have been pushed back, but you've seen both CBA and NAB enter new agreements in which they cannot forcibly make someone return to the office.
So is that playing to that productivity figure you're talking about? How does that work?
It depends on what type of work they're doing, right? So it's really faced around the tech industry. Customer facing still needs to be in and they still need to be in the office.
When you have a look around Australia, though, in terms of the return to office occupancy, I think you've got Perth at over 80%, Sydney or New South Wales at about 65%, and Victoria's at about 47%.
And a lot of that's government driven, right?
And everybody's still saying that one of the rockiest parts of our economy in property stuff is still your office.
Yeah.
There's still heaps of it that's vacant, and tenants that haven't taken up their options, that sort of thing. So there's quite a big of a scary horizon for big commercial, especially in the CBDs, in the big Sydney and Melbourne.
We tend to follow the states a lot. You kind of look at what's happening in America and think that's going to be our future. Their cash rate.
Got Albanese.
their cash rate's at about 5.5%.
Yes.
So you think just one more at the moment?
Yeah.
What's the difference in terms of their inflationary concerns compared to ours, do you think?
I think that, got bigger numbers as well. So changes to there are substantially bigger than when we have a change. So it's a bit misleading, but we're probably the same. It's just the size of our economies mean they're a bit bigger, we're a bit smaller. The US are probably talking 1, maybe another 2 as well. So they've become a little bit more dovish. Again, everyone's still really worried about the strong employment numbers, which was being felt throughout the world, not just Australia, but everyone throughout the world. Manufacturing numbers are still consistent.
But there's still the same amount of people in the world there was before the COVID, if not a little bit more.
Yep.
So why is wages a problem around the whole world?
Because there's more of them working, right? So when you start a business and you need to go find someone, you're going to have to pay them more. And if they've got more, they've got more free cash.
Or is there less people in the employment industry that want a job?
No. So numbers are actually up.
Right.
And participation is actually up.
Well, there you go.
And the UK still in a world of pain with inflation?
Yeah, they are. They're still struggling. They're talking at least another 0.5%. But again, like the rest of the world, employment's still strong over there, right? So inflation's running through the roof. Interest rates are climbing fast, yet they've still got strong employment. So all this leads to hopefully a soft landing. Right, and again, I come back to when I started, which is we're reaching the peak everywhere. It's now about how long that we stay at this elevated level for. I think people need to get their minds around. We're not going to get back to 1.5 in twos, right? That's not sustainable. A strong functioning economy, 3.5 to 4. That's great. Everyone wins, right? So that's where people should be thinking. The RBA again, if you look at their forecast, talked about. Initially being the end of 24, we got to the CPI of 2 to 3. I think they've now changed that view to 2025, which means I expect us to be at a longer period of a higher rate. So I think we'll be at this rate for at least 12, if not 14 months.
Well, anything below 3% is my understanding in terms of economy. So, you're actually injecting
stimulus.
You're stimulating.
Yep. So neutral's 3.5 to 4, right? Yep. So we're still in restrictive, and again, I think the thing everyone needs to be mindful of is if you look at the last sentence or the second last sentence in the last statement, it talked about tightening still if needed, right? So whilst it was dovish, they've still left themselves the ability to tighten. I think you're seeing less reaction to monthly data. Okay, so you were seeing, 1 month we go up by half, all of a sudden we get a rate rise. Whereas I think now you'll see them, hopefully quarterly data drives more of the changes than monthly data.
Dave, you worked in ag. Sorry, Mike, you're about to say something.
No, I was just going to ask, whilst we're on the RBA still, I just wanted to ask this new board positioning they're going to with two different boards.
See you later, Lo.
Yeah.
You got rid of it? Yeah, it's here, I'm prompt.
Do you see it as a good thing?
Let's wait and see. I mean, we've only ever functioned under one regime, so there's pros and cons for either. I think separating some of the responsibility out will be good. The communication piece, I think, is the critical piece. I think as a population, we've got smarter and we understand more of what's happening. So I think that communication piece is really, really important.
Do you think Philip will find another job that pays $1 million a year out of taxpayers' pockets? Lucky for some.
No comment.
No comment.
The political response.
Asking,
but
yeah.
on a positive, I mean, China's lifted their tariffs on barley as at today.
That's true.
So that's a huge bonus.
And they're getting, I think they've lifted the wine tax.
Yeah, correct.
As well.
So they're all. I mean, China's the other story we haven't touched on, which is the economy that's slowing. Their government's talking stimulus, but they're not actually seeing it. And given they're the biggest user of our resource.
We haven't really seen the exports to India like we were supposed to see.
Correct.
So that might be weighing in.
Yeah, watch this space, I think.
And you're doing a lot of lending. You're doing, around Geelong, your job, you're mostly doing a lot of lending now for all the banks. So you're an independent lender, going out, putting people's profiles together and getting them the best deals you can for their portfolios. How are you seeing the banks reacting to all this? How is the new world of banking looking for you?
I think the one thing I would say, all lenders, banks, second tier, whatever, want to do a deal. That's what I would say. It's just the compliance and the level of information changes as you move along. If you want an indication of what banks are prepared to do, you just have to look at the recent changes they made to their affordability rates. So I'm not sure if you're across that, where they've reduced the refinance buffer to 1%.
Oh yes, I did see that.
Right,
yes.
So CBA, Westpac, and NAB.
That's purely for commercial, though, isn't it?
No, that's
is that done for residential?
That's for residential. So if you're less than if 80% or under in an LVR, you've had no arrears for 12 months, and you've held your loan for longer than 12 months, they will apply a 1% buffer when assessing a refinance. Now, you can't get any extra money out of it, but it is about helping consumers.
That got up to about 3% or more.
Well, it does. Well, so you took, because it comes down to where are we in the rate cycle, right? Yeah. So what the banks are saying is we're at the peak of the rate cycle, so 3% is not a reflective. A reflective buffer.
What are you seeing most, like say, an example, a commercial portfolio, mostly commercial properties in a portfolio. What would you see this sort of being offered to the market for at the moment, interest rate rise? What would people expect to get in the market at the moment?
As in a rate?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's going to depend.
Well, put a circle around.
I think you've got to be at around 6. You've got to be thinking 6.5.
Yeah, right. Yep.
And working either way, depending on what you're looking at,
the product
what the product is, rents, etc. But you 6.5 down for really strong, 6.5 up. I mean, industrial's still, pride of place.
Yep.
So you're getting good deals for industrial. That's what they want. Retail continues to be, as it always has, on the edgier side and probably attracting high rates.
And have you been doing much residential stuff as well? Do you have a bit of an insight in where they're sort of coming in?
Yeah, no, I've done a little bit. Majority commercial. That's my background. And I think resi, you're looking at 6s.
Pretty similar.
Yeah, pretty similar, which is a pretty unusual.
There's normally a bigger buffer
there's usually a bigger buffer between the two.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because what we're seeing out in my world is we're starting to see rents across everything starting to grow everywhere, and I think that's on the back of seeing these rates rises go up. You see landlords looking to recoup, pushing rents up and putting pressure on rents as well. But we've also seen a lack of investors leave the market. Are you seeing that people starting to choose to sell those properties rather than hold in these investment markets? What are people with these portfolios doing at the moment in terms of these investors that hold?
Yeah, well, I think what you're seeing now are investors will come back. So the latest data showed we had 10% increase in investors from Feb to May come back into the market. What you're finding is when there's interest rate volatility, what do investors do? They pull out, they pull it safe. I think now that we're getting a strong view on where rates are going to land, you're seeing investors come back into the market. And I think, you two would know better than me, but there's that a lot of people are tacking on their interest and then looking at the return of the property when that's not how you do a property return. No. It's the purchase price and then what you're getting. So I think people need to take a breath and pull that out and then look at what the return they're getting. And Australia's predominantly a negative gearing country, right? We're very different to the rest of the world in which a lot of these purchases are negative gearing, not positively geared.
Dave, we'll probably wrap it up there.
Yep,
I'd like to say thank you very much. You're a very knowledgeable man, and if you've got a portfolio of properties you're looking to refinance it, you can't really go wrong when running those sort of things past Dave. So
appreciate it.
Thanks for coming.
No, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Gareth.
Thanks for coming on.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.
Cheers. Well, thanks for David Flood for coming in and sharing some good intel. Actually, I really enjoyed that chat. We might have to get him on as a regular. I think.
Regular economic advisor.
We will. So, and someone else that can give us probably a little bit of advice, but maybe on the golf swing, is Brad Lamb. So let's get out and have a look at the new Golf Institute in Capital Drive in Grovedale. And I think you'll want to sign up once you see what this place is all about.
You'll love it.
So one of the new segments we decided to feature on Propped this year was highlighting some new businesses around Geelong. And one of the new businesses that caught our eye is the Golf Institute in Capital Drive, Grovedale. And we're here with the owner, Brad Lamb, who recently opened up this elite training facility.
Yeah, we've been open 3 weeks and it's going really well so far. Plenty of good feedback from the Geelong community, which is great, making a bit of noise around Australia as well, so it's going well.
So how does this differ from other sort of like golfing facilities, I guess?
Yeah, I think it differs because of what we're doing upstairs. We're trying, which is the Golf Conditioning Centre, which is incorporating springies, which is a new piece of equipment designed to move people and coordinate people's movement in the right direction. So we've obviously got the TrackMan downstairs and the simulators, which is a well-known product throughout the world. It's the best, ball tracking device you can use, and we've got the simulators that TrackMan built. But what we're trying to do is combine how you train your body to get better at golf.
So who comes to the Golfing Institute? Is it people that want to elevate their games? Is it beginners? Is it hacks like me, self-professed worst golfer in the world?
Second worst, Mike. Second worst.
Anyone who wants to get better. So it doesn't matter if you're a beginner or a professional. If you've got some fight in you and some drive in you to get better, this is a great opportunity for everyone to do
So
that.
some of the equipment is some of the most sophisticated equipment going around, isn't it, really? And you've got all this equipment and everything, and you can just come here, start hitting away, and you'll come and tell us how to fix up what we're doing?
Yeah. So obviously I'm the golf coach here, so I'm constantly teaching, but we've also got staff here who are good golfers themselves, and they can help everyone in the bays to go through the TrackMan and what to do. Yeah.
And I heard there's a massage here as well.
Yeah, we got Mark Langlands here, who's
getting more to where I'm going.
He's probably the best massage therapist in Geelong, so he's here
need to
doing his
loosen up
needling. Yeah, no, he's
before I ever hit, tell you
we're
that.
lucky to have him. Yeah.
Well, I reckon I might just interject there before someone starts getting a massage. So do you want to show us some of the facilities around there?
Yeah.
Awesome, let's go. So who's this young bloke, Brad? Who we got here?
Tom Highland, little superstar. So
No young Tommy. So we're in the coaches bay here, what you call the coaches bay.
We're actually looking at his golf swing and tracking some data on.
He's got you and I covered, Mike.
TrackMan
Absolutely.
is telling us, and also the camera's telling us also what his swing's doing. So I can pause his swing there. Tommy, just one moment, mate. We'll have a look at your golf swing and your numbers. So with the club path, we can see that's 1, which is pretty much perfect. The club face angle is,
in the middle of.
So all those numbers, if they're anything close to 0 is pretty much perfect. So if you get those numbers within 1 or 2 of 0, then you've hit a dead straight shot. And he's hit that 1.6 metres right of the target, which is, a tap in for him because he's one of the best putters in the world. So then we look at his swing. Just one sec, Tom. If we look at his swing, we can do this obviously via the camera that's recording. We can go through his swing and have a bit of a critique on what's happening. Hit that one better.
I might get you the adroit golf day too, mate.
That went too far. You hit it so well. That's really good.
Crazy.
So that's, a couple of features that I use mostly for teaching, but as I said before, we can go and do play a golf course as well. So just a quick.
And for an amateur, I guess it's
I reckon
rather than getting embarrassed and hitting golf balls left, right, and centre, it's a good way to actually get familiar with your club and your swing.
Well, it's what the best players in the world are using. A lot of it's Nick Faldo recently said that if he had the technology when he was trying to fix his swing, instead of taking 3 years, it would have taken him 6 months because you get instant feedback all the time. And if you know that you're working on the right stuff from the data, then that's the best way to go.
So how does this work? Well, I can see we've got cameras to the left and the right and in behind the swing.
another one here.
Yep. So we've got cameras all around. So normally, obviously for a right-hander, we have the front view and the back view. For a left-hander, we've also got those guys covered as well, where we can look at their swing from the left-hander's view. We can also look at the right-hander's view from the back to see what the spine and the pelvis are doing as well. So that's really cool.
I reckon we should have a comparison, Mike. Really put Brad on the test.
Have a hit.
Let's set Tom hit one and then I'll hit one, and we'll see the difference.
We can tee it up at the first hole of St Andrews. There you go. The old
Let's
course.
go. Let's go. You have a go, Tom,
Where's
and
your
I'm going to
driver,
try
Tom? Can you get your driver?
and I'll have a crack and see if I can outdrive you. Jesus, I'm up against it now.
Good luck, Gareth.
Have a look at that. Now I'll see if I can actually connect.
Just don't do your back. Just swing it nice and smooth. Oh, smashed it. Straight in the burn. We'll have a look. It did go in the burn. You hear the splash?
I reckon you got on this.
Same spot? You're consistent.
I think I need a bit of training.
Actually swing it pretty good. Someone who doesn't play much. Well done.
How do these work?
Specially designed and printed from Wellputt, which is a company out of France that do these. They run at a medium pace on what we call the stimp meter, which is obviously the how quick a putt is on a putting green, which is about a medium pace putt, which is really good. And then on all the lines, you can actually practice your stroke length, and also alignment to the hole. So if I just grab a putter, and I'll show you how this works.
So is there like a speedo or something on it, or?
No, basically, if I put my ball there, that little line there goes straight to the hole. So you can put the ball there, put your club face down on that line, and then start practicing your stroke on that line.
Oh, he's not bad.
Okay. When you've got a line there, it helps.
Been practicing, Brad.
He almost did it with one hand.
Well, practicing on a straight line actually gives you a sort of guidance on what you're trying to do with your putting stroke. You're not one.
Come on, Mike, you can putt. Let's see your
I
putt.
reckon. Yeah, there we go. It's like the.
Look at this. You don't even have to bend over to pick up the balls.
Yeah, that's right.
Need one of those.
Constant feedback all the time. That's what we're trying to do here.
I get plenty of constant feedback at home.
Simple.
Got that on camera? Yeah, good.
All right, so we're upstairs at the conditioning centre, which, as you can see, has got the rubber floors and all the gear. But these spring machines is what you were talking about before, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where they put the.
That's right. So the
on?
spring is this is basically over 600 or 700 exercises that we can do. But we've done a golf conditioning program. So basically, it goes from posture for your golf swing into function of movement for your golf swing. So there's different coloured springs, different tensions and length of springs that you can do and you can use, but we've done that as an app and you can go on to get sent to your phone. Basically, obviously you get your program first.
You got
on the cardio.
Pilates going on over there.
On this side, we've got group activities. So we've got that happening today where people are going through their Springies program with Martine, the founder of Springies, and that's going to be a big thing where we're going to do group activities over there for people on the Springs and also general golf fitness classes. But the big push here, I guess, is to have a membership base where people want to work on their swing. I always say to people, if you get better upstairs, you'll get better downstairs.
Yeah. So it's a holistic-based idea, isn't it? Business model where you want to do all the attributes of golf, and you want to set this business up with a membership base, isn't it? So so you come here, get a membership, you can come use this whenever I want.
Ideally, that's what we want to work towards for sure. But we want to open up to the Geelong community. So they've got an option to a bit of a slogan, becoming your best, and I think this is the place that gives people the opportunity to do that.
Well, I reckon it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. It's a world-class facility really, and generally a first for Geelong. So we wish you all the best. And any avid, novice, advanced, you want to improve your game, make sure you get down to the Golf Institute down at Grovedale.
As you can see, some of us need a bit more practice, but this is a place to do it.
Anyway, thanks for allowing us in, Brad.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brad. Take care.
So how good was that?
Did you like my drive?
No. So
biggest
Brad,
slice ever.
Brad's
got a job correcting my slice.
It could be the biggest job of your career so far, Brad. But
no, your putting was terrible as well.
What do you mean?
Well, all that time in your Porsche, I don't think you've got quite the action.
I went in the hole. That's all right. Well, anyway, thanks again for having us out there, Brad. A marvellous facility. So, again, it's that time to sign off. So, Chris, thanks for having us in your...
Next time, turn the heating on. We're out of here.
And again, thanks for joining in. If you want to hear from us, hit subscribe. We've got some good guests. We're out on the road for the next couple of episodes on a few little secret missions.
Yeah.
So we look forward to bringing you those. Otherwise...
And if you've got a business that you want us to come and do our show at and show people through, get in touch with the show.
Otherwise, we'll see you next month.
Cheers.
Thanks for tuning in.